the last time when we met, I think it was really at the start of Hearts and Knives, wasn't it, more or less? And I think I was a bit sort of taken aback of how brilliant the reviews had been. And then I think we were most probably getting the European reviews just starting to come in. And I think, if I'm right, it was the German reviews that were coming in first. And then we got Rolling Stone giving it 5 out of 5. Then the way that I put the band together to go live, we then started to do showcases. So we did like 4 tiny venues, like 400-500 people, to showcase how good the band were live. So when we did the showcases, we then got asked back to every place, but then we also got asked back to 11 different cities in the UK, which was perfect. I mean, we were getting amazing reviews, like the album did. I think out of all the album reviews, we had 1 mediocre album review. But then for the live performances, we were getting great reviews. But behind the scenes, it was really like a car crash there. When we decided that we were going to go to Germany, to Sweden, to Czech Republic, Stockholm, there was about 11 dates. It got to a stage where we were flying into some airport and ending up having to drive 9 hours to the gig. But it was worse. After the gig, we then drove the 9 hours back because the airport where we'd arrived in, we were playing in that city the next night. So it was all done completely arse backwards. A Visage sound check would take, without our sound technician there, would take between 3 to 4.5 hours. I mean, that's because Johnny Martyr on drums is such a perfectionist that miking up his cymbal or his hi-hat or his tom-tom, literally every piece of his drum kit has to be mic'd up. And he's a powerhouse. Steve Barnacle, one of the best bass players. And that's one of the reasons I put this band together with Robin Simon from Ultravox and Robin in Soundcheck, because of the perfectionist he is. He has so many guitar pedals on the floor for the effects you know, he likes to create when playing live. I mean, most probably in Soundcheck, the easiest persons to do, if it's our own sound technician, I'm most probably the easiest one, the quickest one to do the sound check, along with Lauren. But normally we'd stay on most of them, not in Europe. I mean, in Europe, if it was sound engineer Scott, I'd say to Scott, with all what's going on behind the scenes, can you just let Steve Barnacle do my vocal test for me? And yeah, no problem. And Scott would know, like, you know, if I'm working the crowd, when to sort of put echo on my voice or something like that. But it gets to the stage in Europe where we get to the Czech Republic. I'm running on maybe 3 hours sleep in 3 days, and I'm drinking 7 double espressos of coffee just to keep me going. Then I get to Czech Republic, and the people in the Czech Republic were so honoured to have us there. And they were saying things like, "Fuck Russia, come, we're so pleased you're here, come to Poland. You're so pleased you're playing Slovenia, Slovakia, you know, you started it all, fuck Duran." And they were like, and I thought, my voice had gone, and I just thought, this promoter is such a sweetheart, and I thought, I'm going to have to let him down. And I said to him, "Marco, unless I see a doctor," I said, "listen to the sound of my voice." I said, "It's just been abused." Anyway, I did the shows, and it was well received. All of the live gigs were very well received. When I got back home, that's when the problems with my throat and the helicobacteritis thing. Remember I told you about helicobacteritis, how I have to eat chalk? 2 tablets of chalk 3 times a day, and I told you sometimes if the postman come and I just like started, I might open the door and I'd be foaming at the mouth, and the postman would think, Steve Strange is definitely strange. What is he foaming at the mouth? But it's like getting this this remedy to sort of counteract the acid reflux release, and that is what the chalk does. So what I had to have drilled into me was, like, for instance, now in that bag I have, although I'm coming for a week, I have 3 weeks supply because I was running out of chalk. What happens is then, when you run out of the chalk or coenzypol, the acid reflux releases and it actually comes up and it attacks your vocal cords. And when it's got enough moisture or protein from your vocal cords, it moves to your vocal box. So you start then getting a sore throat, and then you start talking very, very husky, and then your voice goes completely. But if you keep it under wraps and you keep this chalk thing, it's fine. But when I come back from the Czech Republic, my doctor said, he said, 2 more gigs, and I'm not seriously joking with you, Steve, you would have been brought home in a body bag. And I said, well, if it wasn't for the paramedics in Czech Republic, the promoter brought into the Hilton 2 paramedics, and I'd fallen asleep, and the promoter was so worried that I wasn't going to be able to do the gigs that I'd fallen asleep, and the paramedics had put a thermometer in my mouth. They'd come into my room with the promoter. I was like comatose sleeping. Then I was giving like gentle slaps around the face, and I woke and it was Marco, the promoter. And then the next thing I see is 2 guys in bright red uniforms with bright yellow lightning flashes up their arms, and they're the paramedics. And in broken English they're saying, not good. No vitamins, no iron, no calcium, caffeine poisoning basically. And sort of completely exhausted, not just physically, just mentally exhausted, running on empty. We need to get, they showed me a pint of milk, which was a pint of vitamins, iron, minerals, everything that my body was lacking through fatigue and emotion and stress, etc. They said, we need this to get into your system so you can do the shows. And I have a phobia of needles, and I was just praying that they were going to get, they got like, them veins there are my strongest veins, and it's not because of drug use. My mum is the same, my sister's the same. Any doctor we go to hates taking blood from us because we're like pincushions. But they missed the first vein, and it was blood all over this white dressing gown and white slippers. And of course you see that and you automatically go, especially if you've got a phobia to needles as well, and they're telling me, relax, relax, we need to get this into your body. And I'm saying, yeah, it's okay, you say relax, I'm just saying you just missed a vein and blood's everywhere. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they do it. I do the show, get back to the UK, and my doctor says to me, 2 more dates and you would have been brought home in a body bag. And then the tour of Japan happened, which was an amazing thing. And the first time that I went to Japan was to shoot a commercial for TDK, and it was a cinema commercial. And the commercial became so popular that they asked me back to do a TV and a billboard commercial. Do you remember Pete Murphy? He did one for TDK. Mm-hmm. So we did one, and it was like, I'm holding like a video in my hands, and on the billboard, my eyes are sort of like magnetic, and I look at the videotape, and it starts playing, and as it starts playing, in the background, it's got the Night Train video playing, and also the music that accompanies the commercial is Night Train, which went to #1 in the Japanese charts. So me going back to Japan with a live band was great, and also great because I find the people of Japan so humbling, so polite. They can't do enough to help you in the sense of, how can I say, they're just like, nothing is, you know, you're just asking for the smallest thing, but it's like, I suffer really badly with hay fever, and everyone knows that people in Japan wear masks. So like even now, I've been back since before Christmas. Every week I get a set of like 9 masks sent from Japanese, and they're really good because it's a shame I didn't pack any this time because London is so badly polluted. There's so much pollution in London. Wearing one of their masks around is great. And also the Japanese people educated me because I was supposed to be going to America, and they said, look, in America there's so much aircon, you should sleep with these masks on where there's aircon in your hotel room so it won't affect your singing voice. So they were teaching me quite a lot of things, and there's a few people that were, you know, like camping outside the hotels at night, and they were coming like to the gigs. And then,
did you go down and chat with them, or?
Yeah.
How do you communicate with Japanese? Do they speak English?
Yeah, not all of them. They don't all speak English. Yeah. I'm meeting and greeting. These people put you where you are. If it wasn't for these people, there was one thing about Japan. Fans were like coming up with so much memorabilia, like things that I've never seen, and I'm signing, and I'm like, God, how much more have you got? And I'm saying to the people in the crowd, like there's like a line of people going like this, with like photos, albums, or whatever, books, and I'm signing. There was a curfew on the building that everybody had to be out by a certain time. Some people had brought maybe 30 things, and other people maybe only brought 2, and they're thinking, well, we're not going to get our sign because it's going to run out over the time limit. I know the music industry has changed a hell of a lot since I was originally involved and I thought, with Hearts and Knives, is it because I'm with an independent label that I'm always having to fight for the right for things like, you know, like to me, when the guy from the Times reviewed that, he hadn't heard the album, and he actually said, when he reviewed this as the cover, he said this should be hanging as a work of art in the Tate, and I hope when I review what's inside, and what's inside is a limited edition red vinyl to match the jacket of the cover, and the fabulous Daniel Lismore collection of clothing. And Daniel Lismore is, let's just say, an up-and-coming, with Sarah Paul, the design collection are like clothes, like one-offs. The visage is not just French for face, it's the VIS is for the visual. The VISA is for the visa to take it. Well, it went to #1 in 13 countries, but we went to a lot more countries than that. So it was to taking it to countries around the world where I'd never been. And age, so that was the three, apart from French for Face. Age was the new age of electronic music when we started creating this music, which the first of it was played at Billy's, and then in this club, which is the original Blitz. David Levine sort of took the picture of the band where I have grey hair and Lauren, the girl with the blonde hair in it. And then Boy George takes this one, because George is my friend. Boy George is such a great photographer. And if you look, he doesn't go under the name of Boy George. He goes under the name of Rude Boy G.